The movie kicks off in the busy streets of New York City. We see two young guys, one named Ben and the other Jack. By coincidence, they both jump into the same cab, but each one wants the driver to take a different route. Their argument gets heated until the driver loses his patience, kicks them both out, and drives away. Right after that, we realize Ben isn't just any ordinary guy. He's actually a slick thief. He pretends to be on the phone, bumps into a man who's on his way to meet his girlfriend, and in seconds, he swipes the man's wallet like a pro. When he opens it, he finds a photo of the man's girlfriend, whose name is Mia. Ben tosses the wallet in the nearest trash can, but for some reason, he keeps the photo. And then fate steps in. Ben spots Mia walking out of a photo studio, and her beauty completely stuns him. Without even thinking, he starts following her until she walks into a cafe. Inside, he accidentally bumps into her again and swipes her phone, only to return it a moment later, pretending he found it in the restroom. Just an excuse to talk to her. Mia thanks him, buys him a drink, and asks where he's from, since he clearly doesn't look like a New Yorker. That's when Ben opens up. He's in New York to meet his father for the very first time. His mom had left his dad when she was pregnant, and he's never seen him since the day he was born. Before she passed away, she gave Ben his father's location and asked him to find him. As Ben shares his story, his eyes lock onto Mia with nothing but admiration. And surprisingly, she starts giving him the same look back. But suddenly, the man Ben stole the wallet from earlier walks into the cafe. Turns out he's Mia's boyfriend. The tension skyrockets. Ben tries to sneak out, but Mia's boyfriend studies his face and realizes he's the thief. Calmly, he grabs Ben's arm and makes him sit down. Ben, nervous, tries to pay the bill and leave, but then he realizes his own wallet is missing. The shock? Mia's boyfriend had already pickpocketed him. He pulls out the wallet, shows it's empty, then, mocking Ben, shoves some cash into his pocket like he's a little kid. Humiliated, Ben snaps. He grabs money from the cashier and storms out. But just as he's leaving, Mia's boyfriend calls after him and tosses him his car keys. At that exact moment, Mia notices some recent photos of her and her boyfriend, and it hits her. He's not just cheating on his wife, he's also a thief. Disgusted, she decides to leave him for good. She runs after Ben instead, admitting that she's actually into him. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, we're introduced to a young woman named Rivka, who heads to her friend's jewelry shop to buy a diamond piece for one of her clients. Rivka was in a rush. She had to deliver a diamond piece. Her wedding was the very next day. After agreeing on the price with the jeweler, she noticed pictures of his kids and asked about them. He told her, "They're my whole life. I just want to give them everything, especially after my wife left me." She shaved her head and became a nun because she believed marriage was a sin. His words touched Rivka. She softly replied, "In my faith, brides also shave their heads before marriage." Then, without warning, she removed her wig, revealing her shaved head. That moment hit him hard. He remembered his wife, but felt a huge difference. His wife shaved her head to leave him. Rivka shaved hers to be with the man she loved. And from that moment, he silently fell for her. The next day, Rivka got married, happier than ever, while the jeweler kept his love buried in his heart forever. The photographer and Jack. Next, we meet a young photographer who's in love with New York City. She jumps into a cab, wanting to capture every corner of the city. Suddenly, Jack gets in the same taxi, clearly in a rush. When he notices her, he freezes, embarrassed, and almost gets out. But when she learns he's heading west, she smiles and says she's going to the same place. She asks him to stay. From the way she looked at him, it was obvious she was drawn to him right away. David and Camille's story. Then, the story shifts to David, a young composer living alone, dreaming of becoming famous one day. Out of the blue, he gets a call from his boss's secretary, Camille, who tells him the boss isn't happy with his work. After a tense exchange, his boss decides to send him a book, something that might teach him to start all over again. Camille delivers the book and leaves it at his door. David picks it up and starts reading, believing it could change his future. But the very next day, he calls Camille, not just because the book is 800 pages and he's only on page 20, but because he's already grown attached to her, even without meeting her. In a bold move, he asks her for a picture. She agrees, but sends one without showing her face. Then she promises, "If you finish the book, I'll show you my face." Her words light a fire inside David. He dives into the book with everything he's got, reading for hours, calculating how long it would take to reach the very last page. When David calculated how long it would take to finish the book, he realized it would take forever. Without thinking, he called Camille and told her he was quitting his job. Almost like saying goodbye. But just a few minutes later, he got a message from her. She told him a story. The greatest composer in the world once finished the very same book in just 26 days. But he didn't do it alone. He had a student who stayed with him the whole time, helping him through every page. In the end, he fell in love with her and married her. Then Camille added, "I've decided to do the same. I'll help you finish the book." And then came the surprise. She said she was standing right outside his door. David rushed to open it, his heart racing. When he finally saw her face, he was stunned by her beauty. At that moment, he wasn't just motivated to finish the book. He wanted to marry Camille. The writer and the girl next, we see a writer standing in the street, smoking a cigarette. Suddenly, a beautiful girl walks up and asks him for a lighter. He quickly hands her one, lights her cigarette, and starts showering her with poetic, romantic lines from his novels, trying to impress her. But the girl stuns him. She tells him she's a cold girl, completely unaffected by his words. She hands him her card, says he can call her if he needs her, and walks away, leaving the writer frozen, embarrassed by the situation he just put himself. Rick and the pharmacist's daughter. Then comes the story of Rick, a 17-year-old pharmacy student. Just before graduation, his girlfriend dumped him for another guy. Heartbroken, Rick didn't know what to do. That's when the pharmacist he worked for suggested he take his daughter to prom, just to make his ex jealous. When Rick saw a picture of the daughter, a beautiful girl, he agreed instantly. He rented a fancy car, dressed sharp, and went to pick her up. But then came the shock. She was in a wheelchair. Even so, Rick couldn't back out. He took her to the prom. Inside, he saw his ex with her new boyfriend, so he introduced the pharmacist's daughter as his new girlfriend. Everyone's eyes were on them as they entered. Then, out of nowhere, she told him, "I want to dance." Rick hesitated, but then he held her close and danced with her, while she stayed in her chair. It was a moment full of emotion and meaning. After the prom, Rick's friends tossed him a bottle of alcohol and drove off with his car, leaving him behind. She calmly told him, "Let's just sit in the garden for a while." They sat, drank, and talked. Her kind words and gentle nature slowly drew Rick closer to her, and he realized he was falling for her. But the drinking caught up with them. They both passed out in the garden. The next morning, Rick woke up in shock, finding her right next to him. Panicked, he quickly helped her up and rushed her back home, knowing her father must have been worried sick. And at that moment, Rick discovers the pharmacist's daughter isn't paralyzed at all. She's an actress, and the whole thing was just a performance. Her father explains that she used the opportunity to test her acting skills. Rick feels relieved that she's actually fine, especially because he's already fallen for her. And now, he wants to continue his life with her. After that, we move on to Jack's story. He meets a beautiful girl, and they spend a lovely time together. They agree to meet again at the bar he usually goes to. But on her way there, the girl starts to panic. After all, Jack is still a stranger to her. She hesitates, but finally decides to go and tells herself this will be the last time she sees him. Jack, on the other hand, has already fallen for her. He heads to the bar, waiting for her, ready to confess his feelings. Time passes, and she doesn't show up. Jack loses hope, steps outside, and raises his hand to catch a cab. But suddenly, he sees her right in front of him, smiling sweetly. In that instant, she can't hide her feelings anymore. She gets into the cab with him and finally admits she loves him too. Then, the focus shifts to the photographer. She's sitting in a cafe where the writer usually hangs out. They exchange shy glances. The photographer leaves her camera recording while she heads to the bathroom. In that moment, the writer steps in front of the lens and quietly confesses his admiration for her, speaking in his own poetic way. Before she returns, he slips out, not wanting to embarrass himself like he did before with the other girl. Next, we dive into a completely different love story, this time between a father and his little daughter, Tia. Her dad has nothing left in life that matters more than her. He's separated from her mother, and on the rare day he's allowed to see Tia, he takes her out. He buys her hot dogs, the very food her mom forbade, and then lets her play by the fountain she adores. While there, some people who know Tia's mom mistake her dad for a hired helper, assuming he was ordered to take Tia out because her mom was busy. This deeply hurts him. Upset, he takes Tia back to her mother. When the mom finds out he let her eat a hot dog, she scolds him, insisting she wants to raise Tia with more discipline. But the father gently argues that what Tia needs most right now is her mom's love. The mother softens, a bit embarrassed, and asks him to take Tia again the next day since she has to travel. He's overjoyed to have more time with his daughter. The following day, he takes her with him to the theater, where she watches him perform his show. And in that moment, little Tia beams with happiness, proud to see her dad shine on stage. The next story is about an old painter. He comes out of his apartment and heads into a shop to buy a few things. There, he spots a stunning Thai girl. From the very first glance, he's captivated by her beauty. He rushes to a nearby restaurant, pulls out a napkin, and quickly sketches her face before the memory fades. Later, at home, he turns that sketch into a large, beautiful portrait. In that moment, he realizes he's fallen in love with her features. The next day, he follows her through the streets until he finally gathers the courage to approach her. He asks if she'll let him paint her. Surprised, the girl wonders why he chose her of all people. The painter is struck silent, unable to explain. All he can do is plead with her to come to his apartment so he can paint her properly. He writes down his address, giving her space to decide. But she doesn't need much time. That night, after the store owner she works for falls asleep, she sneaks out and heads to the painter's apartment. When she arrives, she's shocked. The old man has passed away. His landlord is already packing up his belongings. Heartbroken, she leaves. But then she notices the napkin sketch he made of her lying on the ground. She picks it up, takes it home, and cuts out the eyes from one of her old photos, placing them onto the drawing. For the first time, she smiles, happy that she could complete the portrait exactly how the painter had wanted. Then we shift to another store. A well-dressed man is standing outside a fancy restaurant, talking on his phone. Suddenly, a beautiful woman steps out, asks him for a light, and he obliges. She takes a long drag, her eyes fixed on him with clear attraction. Without hesitation, she tells him she doesn't love her husband and that she's into him instead. The man can hardly believe it. A gorgeous woman like her, choosing him. Excited, he agrees to go out with her. But just as quickly, she laughs and reveals she was only joking. With a sly smile, she turns around and walks back inside to her husband, leaving the man stunned. Next, we meet a couple who've been together for a while, but their relationship is on the verge of collapse. The girl feels bored and neglected, convinced her boyfriend only thinks about himself. She tells him she's ready to leave, but instead of fighting back, he surprises her. He takes her to a travel agency, knowing her dream is to visit Rome. When she realizes he's actually planning the trip, her heart melts. In that moment, she knows he loves her more than she ever imagined. Then we're introduced to an elderly couple, both in their 80s, celebrating their 63rd wedding anniversary. They walk hand in hand along the waterfront, returning to the very spot where their love was born. Their eyes sparkle with the same passion they had decades ago as they relive their happiest memories together. And finally, the film comes full circle. We discovered that the photographer has been moving through the city, capturing every precious moment of these 13 different love stories in New York. Each tale carried its own unique struggles, emotions, and details, but they all had one thing in common: love. And that's how the film ends, with the message that love, in all its forms, connects us all.
If you like this video, subscribe us for more movie recaps.